Is fast or slow a Gold Cup contender?
Yes.
Hello and welcome along to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. What a weekend we've had and what a weekend we've got to reflect on. Some seriously good action ahead. We've got Newbury this weekend. We've got the Royal Bond, the Drinmore and the HATTON'S Grace at Fairyhouse. You're going to be there. I was at Haydock last week. We're going racing off and it feels great.
Yeah, it feels very good. I think we've made a conscious effort to try go racing as much as we possibly can. Sometimes it's not possible the two of us to be there, but I think we're trying to fill our bases. I'm covering Fairyhouse this weekend. You were in the parade ring and all at Haydock last time out, and apparently plenty of people coming up to you.
Yeah, no, it was very, very nice to meet plenty of Let's Talk Racing viewers. Thank you very much for speaking to me and having a good chat. It was lots of fun, and I hope you had a great day. It was a brilliant day. The weather was great. Brave Man's game didn't win. We'll get onto that later. But before, with regards to the ticket giveaway, we're going to announce the winner next week. So you've still got time to go back to last week's video and type in LTR Festival ticket for your chance to enter. But if we could hit 600 likes on this video again, we might even release more tickets the following week. So please go and do that. If you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And again, we want to hear your thoughts. Get your comments down below on the weekend's action and the weekend that's going to come. Right, plenty to get through. We need to fire through this. Thursday, Classical Dream, chasing debut. It took him, well, almost 10 years.
Yeah,
many years to get to this point, but we got there and he looked a natural.
Yeah, he looked absolutely super. I think he's probably the type of horse that has schooled plenty of times. It seems like he's been going novice chasing the last 3 or 4 seasons. He should have won the race the way he did, but you'd like the way he jumped. And I always think that Paul Townend has a bit of a telltale sign when he really enjoys one and really thinks one's good. He gives it the little pat down the neck. Ruby Walsh used to do it on a good horse as well. And Classical Dream got the nice little pat down with 20 yards to go. I think he thought that was smart.
Is it that smart that he could challenge at the festival?
I think he could potentially. I think he's a grade 1 horse.
Plan his season. Where does he go?
Oh, he probably goes to the 3 miler at Christmas time. He could potentially drop back to the 2 mile 5 at the DRF and then maybe on to a Brown Advisory Novices Chase. My one concern with Classical Dream is at Cheltenham, does he really get 3 miles? That would be my one caveat if I was to think of him as a Brown Advisory horse. I don't think he quite has the pace for a Turner's. Does he quite get 3 miles?
But possibly a better chaser than he was a hurdler.
He'd have to go some, but there's every possibility, yeah.
Friday action, another Willie Mullins novice chaser that was high on many people's lists going into the season was Mr. Policeman, kind of a left field shout of people talking about the Arkle with him. He was a very short price for the Arkle before his chasing debut. I'd say he's probably gone out a little bit, hasn't he?
Oh, well, I'd like to hope so, yeah. He was very workmanlike. Look, he's ended up winning the race, which is, he's done well to win the race from where he was. He jumped a little bit sticky at times, beat a stablemate who's very, very inferior.
So why were people looking at this horse?
People love to just be a little bit left of field, I suppose.
No, but as in what do you think they were looking at?
Well, I think he had apparently some good French form, and then obviously he went and won a conditions hurdle quite impressively on Irish debut last year, beating kind of a few experienced horses that had decent ratings. I think it's one of those where people probably want to take a bit of a stab at a horse that's a little bit left field because you're getting a bit of a price. I think a lot of people have done it with Mirazur West for the Supreme, for instance. And I'm not suggesting in the slightest that he couldn't win a Supreme, but at the same time, we've seen him once in a bumper. Like, it's very hard to come to those conclusions. It's the same with this horse. And unless you were really, really clutching onto your tickets, I couldn't be helped but thought you would be a little bit unimpressed by what he did. It was certainly workmanlike.
It was. I don't think he'll be winning an Arkle. Beat the Bat, beat Welcome to Cartrews in making his debut for Paul Nicholls. I thought it was going to be a good race, and they both drew a million miles clear of the third. I think the Nicholls horse will probably come on for the run, and Beat the Bat looks a decent novice hurdler as well. Saturday, I was at Haydock. Some of the big highlights on the card were the 2 mile 5 introductory chase. What's it called? The graduation chase. Yeah. And we had 3 horses going there. Gallard de Menil, who obviously has won at the Cheltenham Festival, the National Hunt Chase. Apple Away, who won the Sefton, and Grey Dawning, who we've already seen being beaten by Stay Away Faye this year. I thought this was a really, really good performance. And you know what? I slightly doubted Stay Away Faye after that run, but now he's come out and Grey Dawning's done that. I'm starting to think maybe Stay Away Faye. I still don't think he's a Kempton horse, but I think he could be top tier.
Well, I'd like to hope so, yeah. It's done nothing but good to the form. He was very impressive. He jumped really well.
Yeah, good ride as well.
Yeah, no-nonsense Harry Skelton ride, which is good to see. He took it up kind of going out of the back straight. I think he was hassling Patrick Mullins on Galar de Menil all the way. My one worry with this horse is that, he's obviously going to probably go up maybe in running a Quarto Star now. He might go up to Grade 1 level. And I just believe that race on Saturday completely fell apart. Like Galar de Menil, I suspect, was around 50% fit. They're looking back from a Grand National with him. And again, I'm going to be harsh about a few of these horses. It's absolutely no personal spite on anyone.
What do you think of Appleway?
I just don't think she's that brilliant. Like, I think she was perhaps capitalising on horses that had slightly harder, tougher campaigns in Grade 1 races at the end of Aintree last year.
So I spoke to Peter Scudamore before the race on Saturday, and he wasn't confident at all.
But they just don't seem to think she's as good as potentially like a Giovinco, for instance. I think she has surprised them how good she's been. She is obviously a very, very good mare, but I didn't think she didn't really show much enthusiasm for jumping fence, and she's not big either.
No, I'd say the one thing with Grey Dawning is he'd be a shoe-in for that Grade 2 3-mile novice chase at Warwick.
Absolute rick.
If he was to go for that, I think he'd have a massive, massive chance. Brave Man's Game was beaten. I'll be honest, I was there, I was devastated. I was devastated more because I didn't think there were any excuses. I thought he jumped really well. He had his ground compared to the winner, Royal Pagaille, who needed it heavy. He travelled well. He jumped. I got to the top of the straight. And the one thing that concerned me with Brave Man's Game is I always thought he's a speed horse, right? So I thought at some point when Darryl said go, he would pick up and he would go past Royal Pagaille. If there was a world where he was to get beat, maybe Royal Pagaille comes back and battles back and just outstays him over the long straight at Haydock. He didn't even have that kick, the turn of foot, and they didn't go a mad gallop. It wasn't like they were going end to end and just had nothing there. It was just a really, really lackluster Brave Man's Game, and we'll get onto another horse later on, but maybe the Gold Cup, it was a really gruelling race, or maybe the form isn't that great.
I don't buy this form wasn't great. I think that's a sack of crap, to be honest.
What's going on with Brave Man's Game?
I think he's perhaps, I think he's better fresh. So I couldn't believe why they ran him at Haydock. I thought he ran a very good race at Wetherby. Yeah. I think the horse that beat him at Wetherby's good, and if he didn't land on the last fence, he might have won on tougher ground as well. That race may have taken a little bit more out of him than people gave it credit for. And I don't know whether it's maybe because I'm used to watching Harry Cobden on this horse. I wasn't sure Darryl Jacob was ever that happy. I wasn't ever happy watching him, I must say, on Saturday. At no stage was I confident, because at no stage did I really believe, turning into the straight, that Darryl Jacob wanted to be passed by Charlie Deutsch. I can't believe in plan A that was it. And then I thought we're on the back foot here, and he's just been beaten. I don't believe, I've said it to you, because I think Paul Nicholls will feel he may have got that slightly wrong. People will be criticising, or people will be thinking that the horse is gone, he's had a tough time of things. I can guarantee you, Paul Nicholls is just that type of guy. He's like Kevin Keegan back in the days of football management. He will love nothing more to get this horse back to win the King George. And I think he'll put his life and soul into making sure that happens. And I still look at the King George. I don't think Allaho's going to run.
Jerry's going to. Looks like that.
Yeah, potentially so. I would like to take him on at Kempton over 3 miles. I can't believe how you could back Jerry Calam and you couldn't back Stay Away Faye.
I think they're two different horses.
Oh, gee whiz. Like, they're just like...
They're not the same at all.
Well, we're going to disagree on that then.
Well, we are. Well, one's won a 2.5 mile Grade 1 novice chase, and one was slow 3 mile novice hurdler.
On deplorable ground at Sandown, beating Balco Coastal, who's rated 140.
I honestly...
Do you not think Stay Away Faye could beat Balco Coastal?
There was a reason why he was running over 3 miles novice hurdles last year.
Well, he ran a 2.5 mile novice hurdle to start off at Newbury.
But there was a reason why at the end of the season he was running over that.
Well, he ran in a Bartlett. Yeah, Jerry Calam didn't even get to Cheltenham as a novice hurdler.
Well, yeah, I know. I just don't think they're two different horses. One's a got proven form over 2.5 miles in Grade 1 level and one doesn't.
Yeah, but like if you're going to say that Balco Coastal
Has Stay Away Phil on a Grade 1 over 2.5 miles?
No, he hasn't. Has he ran in a Grade 1 over 2.5 miles?
No, because I didn't think he was quick enough.
No, but you can't just throw sticks in the air and just pick the ones that suit you.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Down Royal's a bit of a... How would you say that is as a track? I've never been.
It's
not a big galloping track, is it?
No, it's not a tight track at the same time.
And so many things went wrong, and he still got the job done. I thought that was a good performance, and I think towards a King George, he's the horse going in it on form. Braveman's Game looks a shadow of himself. Like I say, if Braveman's Game doesn't win a King George, he's not going to win another Grade 1 this season, so he's going to put everything into it. But at the moment, I must admit, I'd be tossing and turning. I don't know who I'd rather back.
Well, I'd back it. Like, at the moment, based on what we've seen this year, I would very much back Jerry Colombe to beat Braveman's Game home in a Gold Cup. I've no issues with that as an argument. I just don't believe. I just
don't think you like Jerry.
I'm yet to be convinced. I'm yet to be convinced because I don't.
Would you rather back Gentleman's Game than Jerry in a in a King George?
No, I wouldn't want to back either of them.
But if you had to back one of them, 2-horse race?
I'd take a swing on Gentleman's Game.
Interesting. Mighty Bandit, juvenile hurdle for Gordon, looked really good on debut.
Yeah, it looked really good. I thought he jumped pretty well. I think Joseph's horse in second's probably a good enough horse. One to keep on side. That Lark in the morning might be one for a Boodles potentially down the line. I think he was well thought of, and he absolutely trounced him. He was impressive.
Predator's Gold on the same card.
Yeah, again, very impressive. It seemed to be on the Saturday at Punchestown. It was either Gordon or Willie having just a horse winning by 10 lengths.
Yeah.
They went a pretty good gallop.
Is he going under the radar? Because he did win at Punchestown.
He did, yeah. And I think it's one of those where he's probably not being seen as, because he's almost the first good Willie horse back with Gigginstown.
Yeah.
That everyone's kind of almost struggling to compute it nearly. But he's the type of horse that if he ran, you wouldn't rule him out in a Ballymore. I think the way he hit the line, I wouldn't rule out that it'll be at 3 miles at some stage this season either.
You could definitely see that down the line of offences.
Yeah.
Talking of fences, talking of impressive chasing debuts, Gaelic Warrior.
He was.
I mean, yeah, he was very, very, very good. Equally, there has been a few people crabbing his jumping. Where do we sit with him? Is he simply top notch and he's going to win the Marsh, the Turners, whatever it is called? Or does he have his quirks? Can you trust him? Where do you sit with him?
Well, let's see, this is where I'm going to show a lot of personal growth, and I'm just in relation to Jerry Colombe, because I could sit here in a year's time and I'll admit, because this time last year, you'll well know, I was quite snippy about Gaelic Warrior. I wasn't his biggest fan. Gee, I think he's an absolute tool and a half of a horse. I don't buy this, how we can't trust him. Like,
as in, I'm talking purely on a Cheltenham.
No, I understand that in terms of that you're saying it because a lot of people are mentioning it. But like, he came second to as good and impressive a Ballymore winner as we've seen in quite a while. Don't think he was maybe even one of the world's great rides that day as well. He had 2 Grade 1 winners in behind in 3rd and 4th. And then he goes to Punchestown and wins the 3-mile hurdle against Affordale Fury.
Is there a case that he's just better right-handed? And that's why you maybe couldn't trust him at Cheltenham?
A small bit, yeah. But I don't know. I just think he's a really, really good horse.
Plan his season. Is he going to bump into Classical Dream?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. No, I'd say they'll try to keep those two apart.
Could he go to Limerick?
He could, actually. That's a very good plan. That's good race planning from you. I hadn't even thought of that. No,
what could he do?
He could do that. He won't run at Leopardstown in either the 2-mile chases, because I assume Facile Vega will run in both of them. I can't see a world where this horse just doesn't turn up in the Turners.
Okay.
I think he's just out now. I know Willie has even said, I think in the last day or two, he wouldn't be adverse to dropping him down to 2 miles. I get where he's coming from, but he won't do that. Let's call a spade, because Facile Vega's there. But I don't think he'll go up to 3 miles either. I wouldn't be a mad fan of him running in a 3-mile novice chase at Cheltenham. I think he could absolutely dominate a 2.5-mile chase.
Favori de Champdou won the Florida Pearl. Didn't explain the full story.
Well, what do you make of that race? Everything was happening.
Affordale Fury, we'll go through them. Affordale Fury.
Yeah, I'd say something wrong with him. Was jumping markedly out to his right.
Always looking down as well.
Rider looking down, didn't pull up, ran poorly. I'd put a line through it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see him for a while.
Flooring Porter.
I thought he was, like, I do see where they were getting at, that he wasn't actually doing it wrong until the loose horse came to him, but he is a nutter. And therefore, just even the loose horse being there has completely sent him.
You've got to trust him to be at his best at Cheltenham, haven't you? Because if he is, he's
well in the picture.
He's going to be in the picture, but you just have to really trust him. Sandock again.
Okay, no more than that.
Is he not good enough? Is he too slow? Is he going to get better?
Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want my kind of what I want?
The people behind the camera want your honest opinion. Your honest opinion. We know you want him to win a Grade 1.
Yeah.
What's your honest opinion?
I think he will place in a Grade 1 this season. I don't think he'll win one.
What Grade 1 would he place in?
I think he could place in a Brand Advisor. I think his best run of the year, I can near on hang my hat, his best run of the year will be at Cheltenham, because he's being trained at Cheltenham, or like for Cheltenham.
Yeah.
My worry is that they may go down the 3 mile Grade 1 route at Christmas time, which was the initial plan. I don't know whether that's changed or not, having been beaten, 10 lengths or 12 lengths or whatever it is. I personally would just try and find a beginners.
Is there any way he turns up in the National Hunt Chase?
I suppose.
Because presumably Paul at the start of the season would have gone, my goodness, this horse is far too classy to run a National Hunt Chase. Is he going to have to reconsider it?
I believe, I genuinely think if they believe he's a National Hunt Chase horse, he will run in the Irish National.
Okay.
Because...
that's what they did with the latest exhibition.
Yeah. And I just think... I worry about him staying. I know people think he's slow and he'll stay further and stuff like that. I just think he's maybe not quite quick enough to go at the top. There's times where a horse is not quite quick enough to go at the, at championship standard at a certain distance. It doesn't necessarily mean they need a step up in trip.
True, yeah. Very quickly, State Man, Morgiana, proper horse, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good horse, very simple, did what he had to do.
Yeah, jumping, he's not slick, is he?
No, he wasn't slick in the Morgiana last year, though, either. He got a bit better as the season went on.
I don't think, as in, it's not going to be, groundbreaking news to think that he's not going to reverse the form with Connie Hill. But I do think that the only chance Willie's got with him is if Perry Pass, we're going to see this weekend, comes out and is a real superstar.
I think based off Saturday, I suspect they'll be disappointed if Perry Pass can't be better than him.
Yeah, I would agree.
By the end of the season.
I think Stateman's really good, but you expected him to beat those horses he did at the weekend. And it's just, I know you love him. I don't think he's a real superstar. I know if Connie Hill wasn't around, whatever, he'd be a champion hurdle winner, he'd be unbeaten, whatever. But Connie Hill is around, and he
has won 5 Grade 1s.
I know, but
and it's 5 from 6 at Grade 1 level.
The 3 horses he beat at the weekend and the way he did it well. I just don't think he's like that really slick 2 mile champion hurdler that you have, the really slick jumper you have to be to really be a top notch 2 mile hurdler. I think, like, for me, I know again it might not be groundbreaking news, but if we're looking at horses who ran in the similar races, Hurricane Fly, Faheen, Annie Power, I'd back all of those to beat State Man, I think.
Yeah. I can see what
he did score over fences this year, and apparently he was
average.
At best.
Yeah, I think being nice to say average.
Over to Ascot. The big talking point was Harry Cobden going there, not riding Brave Man's Game. That turned out to be a successful
shrewd
day.
From Harry.
4 rides, 4 winners.
Very shrewd.
As simple as it gets. The big talking point, though, was a horse who didn't run.
Yeah.
And he got down to the start. Shishkin decided, today is not the day. Sometimes I can
get out of bed like that.
Yeah,
some days.
I sympathise with Shishkin. I was kind of watching him going, you know what, today I don't fancy it. Give yourself an easy time. The only issue is you've got to hope that, and his backers have got to hope that in a King George or in a Ryanair or in a Ascot Chase that he doesn't also think, I don't really fancy it today. Well, how do you assess a horse like that going forward? Is he now just a no-go?
I don't think he can be a go just because he's going to be short prices where he goes usually because he's a horse riddled with ability. But he's like a horse on the on the flat that can't get out of the stalls or something. It doesn't really matter if he's riddled with ability. If he's going to start playing up, or he's going to be really lazy like he was in the Ryanair last year, he's going to lose more races than he's going to win, despite having all the ability in the world. Cheek pieces seemingly didn't do the desired effect. I think they thought he'd be almost too sharp, and he obviously clearly got the cheek pieces on him and just went, what are these? And went,
The one thing I am going to say is if he continues to do this, I really want him to be retired and not go down a might bite and start running in cross-country races.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a seriously top-notcher, and so was might bite. But let's say he was to do something similar to this, 2 or 3 starts in a row. I think you probably end it there, right?
You'd like to.
You can't just keep going to the well.
No, and I don't think...
Like he's done too much in the game to do that.
Yes, and I think it's just one of those things where, for one reason or another, he's kind of gotten a few notions about the game in the last year and a half, and maybe that's just his mind catching up with the game. He probably knows what he's getting himself into now.
I reckon he saw what he did to Energamine, and he just cannot cope with the fact he's won 2 champion chases since. He's like, I don't want to be part of this game anymore. He's gone on to win the champion chase twice. He's not got one. I beat him on the big day.
Yeah.
Where's my champion chase?
In a great race,
I just refuse. I'm not going to go back.
I do wonder whether that race, to a certain extent, left some toll on him.
Yeah, he had to put everything in that day, and he was absolutely
on soft ground, and hasn't quite been. I thought they'd got him back last year because he was so good in the Ascot chase. He was even brilliant in the bowl to somehow get a Ahoy Senior late, despite not really travelling. But
do you know what it is actually? I picked the best turned out for that Clarence House, and I gave it to First Flow.
And he sacked it in after that.
I reckon he said, I'm going to put one more performance in and sack the rest off. Sunday, Halka de Tava made her chasing debut at Cork. Impressed?
Yeah, jumped pretty well in the main. Good mare.
Yeah, what's interesting with these novice chasing mares is a lot of them are still going to run in the open mares chase at the Cheltenham Festival. Obviously, they're going to be lacking in experience, but she's got ability, like on hurdles form.
Oh, she's got plenty of ability.
She's got plenty of ability, hasn't she?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't rule her out of a mare's chase. She'd need to have more experience. I'm sure they'll try to get that into her. She'll need to improve, but it's not beyond the bounds.
Shannon Royale. We were quite snippy of him and his first 2 starts after his big price tag. He went and then beat Tully Hill, who was the hot pot 128 Cheveley Park Willie Mullins horse. Do we owe Rob Court an apology with Shannon Royale, or can we go, my goodness, that Mullins horse was poor?
I think probably a small bit of both. I think Shannon Royale...
Rob Court, we are
big fans, as we can see from our Gentleman's Game Jerry Calam debate. But... He's just a slow enough beast, Shannon Royale. Like, he's not a bad horse.
He's going to be an Irish national horse down the line.
Yeah, he's going to be a staying chaser, and he'll be a fine one. That was one of the worst hurdling debuts I have seen in a long time. From a good prospect, like for a good bumper prospect that you're thinking, this could be a really nice horse. I don't think he jumped a single hurdle well. He looked laboured, he looked awkward. Oh, dear.
The Grade 2 novices chase went the way of Imagine. Now, I feel like the Let's Talk Racing viewers, long-term Let's Talk Racing viewers, will maybe remember when me and you were abroad singing Imagine All the People. We'll insert the clip here. Imagine all the people. Should we not just be really, really big fans of this?
We should be.
We should, but we're not.
Well, I wish he was maybe slightly better than he is. He's a grand horse. Yeah. That was an average enough race. Lucid Dreams. I backed at Gorham Park a few weeks ago when I was there. He won a handicap. He was, in another 10 yards, he would have won the race. I think he'll end up, he's a slightly better chaser than he was a hurdler, but he's going to end up being a Captain Guinness easy game-esque horse. He's going to be a Grade 2, Grade 3 beast running in small field 2.5 mile chases, and I don't think he'll ever be better than that. I don't think he'll ever be worse than that.
Fast or slow? Won the John Durkin. Beating Appreciate It. Beating Galopanda Champ.
Good race.
Great race.
Very good race. He is better than I give him credit for. Because I thought Punchestown at the end of the year was a complete flash in the pan. And capitalising again on a little bit more of like an apple away, end of season. Sometimes weird results can happen. But for him to put in that performance over a trip for himself that would be short of his best, I thought was excellent.
I've got 3 questions from the race.
Please.
Is Fast or Slow a Gold Cup contender?
Yes.
Is Appreciate It a Ryanair contender?
If he's ridden properly.
Which is?
From the front. Don't start me on the way he was ridden in the Turners last year.
Galopin Des Champs. Was it simply a trip too short? Has he regressed? Has a Gold Cup taken a bit out of him? Is he going to be still winning in March?
I wouldn't rule it out. No, I certainly wouldn't be burning it up like everyone else seems to do.
No, I wouldn't be either. I thought it was a very good run.
I thought it was a good run. The only thing was his jumping.
Poor, yeah.
His jumping was a bit sluggish. You'd want to see that maybe sharpen up a little bit, but he was gaining. He seemed to just be slightly tapped for toe. You can't almost believe how free he was as a novice chaser, given almost how lazily he runs now.
Yeah.
And he kind of a bit behind the bridle and runs in snatches. I don't think there was anything to suggest from him that he's being completely, taken aback by that Gold Cup run by any respect. I think it was just a solid run.
I've said this a couple of times. I actually don't think that the best Galopin Des Champs turned up in the Gold Cup at Cheltenham. I know he won it really impressively, but I didn't actually think he was at his very best that day.
I would say, personally, I don't think he was at his best for the entirety of last season.
No, and he still did what he did.
I thought he was he's certainly a more visually impressive novice chaser. What he was doing to Bob Ollinger in the Turners almost far outweighs, because he was workmanlike in the Irish Gold Cup, beating Fury Road. That's not great form.
But I'm not saying that he was, he's regressing. I'm just saying that he's not fully there, and maybe this year, because he may have been slightly more wound up for his first run last year, maybe Willie's taking it slowly and trying to get him to peak in March.
Well, I think Willie will know it's not easy to get these horses back to a Gold Cup year on year. The only reason Albin Photo did it was because he was running in Tramore once a year in a 3 or 4 runner race.
He'll run once now between them, won't he?
Yeah, he'll either run at Christmas or the Irish Gold Cup, I'd say. One of the two.
Which one will it be? Christmas if Jerry goes to Campton?
Yeah, the John Durkan being where it is now in the schedule allows for it, which is, I think they'll enjoy. It depends how he comes out of the race. If he comes out of the race well, you can run him at Christmas and then give him his bigger break, or you could give him his slightly bigger break now, go to Leopardstown and then on to Cheltenham, or Leopardstown for the DRF and then on to Cheltenham. I wouldn't mind either way. I think he'll win at Leopardstown next time out, and I think he'll be the rightful Gold Cup fav on the day.
We want to hear your thoughts on Galopin Des Champs and Brave Man's Game. Let us know. Did the Gold Cup...
And Jerry.
And Jerry.
Everyone.
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts on the Gold Cup picture or the 3-mile Grade 1 chase picture down the line.
I know I'm going to get abuse for that Jerry comment. I just can sense it.
I think you should die on your sword.
I will. But...
The weekend coming up looks very, very good. We're going to fire through the Grade 1 races, give our best bets, and also preview the Coral Gold Cup. A few horses that I feel that you should also have a little eye on. There's 5 of them. Jalon Dudery is entered in both bumpers at Fairyhouse. I think they think a lot of him, and the other horses that have been running in bumpers that they don't think as much of has been winning. So he's one to keep an eye on. Jericho de Repine is this Nicky Henderson horse, big talking beast. Yeah, probably going to run on Newbury, at Newbury on Friday in the first race. It's a 2-mile maiden hurdle. They won it with John Bon. I'm expecting fireworks. He's taken him to a gallop this morning. He doesn't really do that with horses that we've not seen before. So we've got to expect fireworks, and hopefully we see some. Hermes Allen makes his chasing debut. That's to note, in a Grade 2 company over 2.5 miles. Dysart Enos runs in a listed mares novices hurdle against a Nicky Henderson mare called Joyeuse. Apparently very good, related to Epatante. JP again. I think we need to just keep an eye on her. I'm not saying that she's going to beat Dysart Enos, but she's got a lofty reputation. Yep. And then Masaccio runs again at Newbury on Saturday. That form's working out really well. I hope that he goes in again. Right, now time to look at Fairyhouse, the 3 Grade 1s, the Royal Bonsies, Antabar, and Cantabruno, Slade Steel, Farron Glory. What's up, darling? We'd imagine one of the Rob Core horses will run.
Yeah.
Which one's more likely?
I'd have thought Slade Steel may be slightly more likely than Antabar. over, just because I think he's slightly the quicker horse of the two, just based off what we've seen so far. It's not a vintage Royal Bond. I think Encanto Bruno being joint favourite for a Grade 1 probably shows that, and people will know I love Bruno.
So who's going to win?
But I think he's actually got a really good chance. I would make it between himself and Slade Steele. I believe Slade Steele will be the one that will run out of the two. Farron Glory was impressive, beating Irish Panther. Irish Panther's become a slightly disappointing horse just at this moment in time for Eddie O'Grady. I actually think Bruno is going to win a Grade 1, which I don't think should happen.
What will you be singing?
Something
Bruno.
something along that line. I still haven't. It's still a little bit like Jack Grealish at Manchester City, but you know,
Yeah,
you've got to appreciate your favourite player at times.
Drinmore, you were very confident. Let's be clear about it. He's still so confident going up against Sharjah and Founder 50.
Yeah, I think he's got a very, very good chance. I think the race is going to be slightly better than I thought it was going to be. Founder 50 was very impressive. I said after when we reviewed him that I'd want to see him do it at Grade 1 level. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'd want to see it. Sharjah's the fly in the ointment, would want the ground to be quite good over 2.5 miles, I'd have thought. Maximus will probably run. I still think let's be clear about it, will win this race.
Big day for Gavin Cromwell. I'm going to go Founder 50 in that one. Hatton's Grace and Perry Pass is back. We need to see fireworks from him if he's going to be a champion hurdler. He's got to be going to and beating TUP, Irish Point, Afro Diamond, Buddy One, who all have good form. Interesting one for you. Buddy One, obviously last week's anti-post video, you put him up for the stayers. Is it a positive that he's being considered for a 2.5 mile Grade 1 hurdle, or is it a negative because you think he could, say, be beaten in that because there's not his optimum conditions? So were you chuffed to see him in there? Are you slightly worried if he runs?
I'm slightly worried in terms of it just seems like it's a quick turnaround from Cheltenham more than anything. I think it's great in terms of for the longevity of my bet that they clearly believe that he's going to be running in Grade 1s. He's entered in the 3 mile Grade 1 at Leopardstown over Christmas.
You'd rather see him there?
Slightly, but because I just think Imperi Pass will win this race, and I think he could win this race very impressively as well. And I don't really want to see my good old Buddy One coming fourth, beating 40 lengths. I don't think that would happen, but look, he'd be up against it against Imperi Pass. As you say, if he's to win a champion hurdle or to come close in a champion hurdle, has to be beating this lot.
The Coral.
No disrespect to that lot, by the way. It's good horses. Like.
The Coral Trophy, Coral Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Newbury. Yeah. Big one. Tough one. I'm going to go Mongbeg Genius.
I can see.
The Ultima form is as good as it gets.
Can't be better.
Corrit Rambler won the race. He went and gagged up in the National. Fast or Slow was second. He went on and beat Brave Man's Game and Gallopan at Punchestown. He confirmed that form in the John Durkan. It couldn't be working out much better. There is excuses for Monbeg Genius's last run was pulled up after making a pretty heavy mistake. This has been the plan. I'm still not 1,000,000% convinced he stays an extreme trip, but they are. And I believe that, and I'm going to trust John Joe. And
it's a full circle moment.
And I just think, is he not just the best handicapped horse in that race?
Well, he is. Yeah.
By a comfortable mile. Like, I think Complete Unknown running off a low 150s. I think he's a good horse.
He is what he is, though.
But he is what he is. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a 165 horse down the line. Whether I don't think Monbeg Genius is going to be that, but he's running off in the mid 140s, and I think he could easily be maybe a 155 horse.
Yep, no, I agree with that. I find this a very hard race to summarise. A few of my old flames in here. Stumptown's in there, Maller Mission's in there. Look, there's no getting away from John McConnell's stable form at the moment. He hasn't had a winner in a couple of months. Plenty of runners in that time as well. They're just not running right. If they were running right, I think he's got a great profile for the race. I think he'd have a great chance in the race. You know, will I back him out of almost hope? Maybe so. I find it difficult after that. I wouldn't disagree with Monbeg Genius. Just, I'll almost, like, if he's the type of horse, if he won the race easily, you'd go, well, of course he was going to win the race easily. As for if he comes 8th, I wouldn't be surprised either. It
reminds me a bit of when Soaring Glory won the Betfair Hurdle, where you're going into it going, Christ, his form is just...
It's just the best.
The best.
And he's off 130 something.
But...
You're second guessing.
You're second guessing, yeah. Look, he's going to be my first best bet. My second best bet is going to be Affordale at Taunton on Friday. He's 5-2 for the 2 o'clock. And then my third best bet, now because he's up against a Gordon Elliott horse called Cletus Poulor, who's got good form and we've seen him already, this Daddy Longlegs of Willie's, I'd imagine he's going to be favourite because he's Willie, he's owned by the Donnellys, but he might be, say, an even shot compared to a 4 to 7 shot. So if he is around that mark, Daddy Longlegs will be backed by myself at Thurles on Friday.
Thursday.
Today.
Very good. I am going to put up a 3 over the weekend. As I say, I'm going back for the Hatton'S Grace Festival, which is fantastic. A horse I am unnecessarily jumpy about is running on Saturday, and the winner's a 1 novice hurdle.
And he is called
Release the Beast for Paul Nolan. I think actually looking at the entries, it is a winnable race. There's no Willie Mullins horse in there, thank goodness. There's a couple of Gordon Elliott horses in there, but wouldn't be maybe his stable stars. I think the reason is they want to make, a bridge between obviously having to run him potentially in a grade 1. He's entered in a grade 1 at Christmas time, so they clearly think a fair bit of him. So hopefully hoping for the best for himself. I also think on the Sunday in the Porterstown, I'd give Frontal Assault a chance. Thought he ran quite well in the Troytown, went 5th. I think an extreme test of stamina will really suit him over 3-5. Gordon Elliott hoovers up these big handicap chases like they're going out of fashion. And the big 2 mile handicap hurdle, a horse that I think will be a big price and near the bottom of the weight, is Conyers Hill. He may not be good enough, but I think a strongly run race that they'll drop him out to run well. And I just have visions of him almost being like a Tudor City of Tony Martin's, that he'll be weaving in between horses. Obviously, luck will have to go his way in that regard, but he'll get that strong pace, he'll get something to look at, and I think he'll be a double figure price. Certainly one I'll be backing each way.
Really looking forward to reviewing all of that action. We do hope you enjoy the racing this weekend. If you're going to Fairyhouse and you see Andrew, go and say hello. He'll be with his dad, I'm sure, SPW. He'll be supplying the winners.
Well, he'll have something for us. If all of mine fail, we'll get SPW on.
So let us know who you will be fancying this weekend. We want to hear your thoughts on the debate. And if you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and get your comments down below. And a quick question as well. I've been thinking we should do this and be very open and honest. Maybe on a week where it's slightly quieter during December, maybe before Christmas, we could do a year summary of what we've done with LTR and what we want to do down the line. If you would be interested, I don't know if you'd be interested in that. I've not even ran it by him. We could sit down in a podcast like this, it'd be completely different, and we just talk through general thoughts on what we want to do with the podcast and how we take it to the next level. And having you and your ideas involved in that will make that process easier and better, and hopefully means that it can grow as quickly as possible, and we can do cool things and hopefully reward you with ticket giveaways and all that jazz. So if you would be interested in that, do let us know down in the comments. 600 likes on this video would be superb, and we'll see you soon.